Denver has cooled off a bit when it comes to real estate and just the interest and the buyer activity, as well as seller activity, but specifically the interest of buyers. The interest of people relocating or moving to Denver has really dramatically shifted over the last couple years. We're seeing a lot fewer people moving here than during those peak years a few years ago. And I actually have some proof behind this to show you guys. And U-Haul, if you haven't watched any of my other videos yet, I've done this a couple other times just because it is so valuable in my opinion. But U-Haul puts out a moving index every year. And what better company than U-Haul to do this, since they see so many people moving all over the country. So it's a great resource in my opinion. And always in the past, Denver was in the top, or I should say Colorado was in the top 10 states in the country, or the top 20% of states that people were relocating to. Well, in the 2024 U-Haul index, and I'm excited to see what happens in the new one that's going to be hopefully released soon for 2025. But this most recent one that we have on record, it actually had us all the way down to number 40. So out of 50 states, we were in number 40, or in the bottom 20% of all states for where people were relocating or moving to. So if you guys are considering moving here, that it is actually a pro or a benefit because it's an advantage. It means less competition. It means fewer bidding wars. It means, less maybe people that are fighting you for the home of your dreams. There's just so many reasons why, if it makes sense financially, if you're able to, make the numbers work and you have a budget and everything else is in line, this is a great time to be moving to Denver just because of this exact reason. And that's why, in my opinion, it's definitely another pro or really big positive going into 2026. Now, I do want to just add one little caveat to this, and not to create a sense of urgency, but I do feel like 2026 is really going to be the last bit of a window of opportunity for buyers before things change again. I think a lot of the reason behind U-Haul's index and us dropping all the way down to that number 40 spot has to do with affordability. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here in a second, a little teaser for maybe one of my cons. But affordability is really what is driving a lot of this change with the U-Haul migration statistics. And I think this is going to change once some of this affordability starts to improve. That's going to improve in different ways, but a big part of this is just the economy. And I like to stay as optimistic as possible. And hopefully, as we get through 2026, that's going to be a year that just the nation in general, but also Colorado, are going to start to get back on their feet and hopefully see a little bit more affordability come back to the state of Colorado. I do also, though, want to just point out that this is really important because it's in cycles, or it's cyclical. This is always something that's existed, since the beginning of real estate, where you have these cycles. And I do think that we're kind of coming up to the end of this current one, where once that kind of turns over, affordability improves a bit, and a lot more people start to consider Denver again, man, it's going to get tough again. Home prices are going to go a little bit higher as far as, you're going to more competition. You have to really rely on a lot more negotiation strategies and really finding a good realtor that can help you guys identify, what a really good deal is, rather than just paying more than the guy next to you that's also bidding on the same house as you. So long-winded way of saying that I think this is really going to be a window of opportunity here in 2026. And afterwards, it might get to be a little bit harder again for people to find that home of their dreams here in Denver.